Hello, wonderful you, and welcome to class. So today we're gonna look at shoulders. We're gonna look at all the movements that the shoulders do, and we're gonna focus on the different aspects. We're gonna move into active range, into passive flexibility. So we're gonna focus on bringing space, but also strength as well, which are both needed for our back bends, depending which back bend, but we'll see more of that. We're gonna look at the different movements that the shoulders do, and especially we're gonna focus on shoulder flexion and shoulder extension, which what we will see in our two main categories of back bends. So for this practice, we're gonna need a mat and a block, so have it ready and nearby. And we're gonna start in a kneeling position towards the back of the mat. We're gonna come here and we're gonna place both hands in front of us on the ground. And we're gonna start with our left arm. We're gonna reach it forward. We're gonna take a big circle and then we're gonna open into a cactus shape, bending the elbow towards the back. And then we're gonna reach forward, tap the mat, and then again, opening out into the back. Very nice. One more time like this. Reach it forward, up, and towards the back, bending the arm. Once again, reach it forward. Now we're gonna do it 3 more times. This time, the arm stays extended, taking a full half circle. And then we're coming back. And again, circling back and forward. One last time. Starting to warm up, to create a bit of space here. And then we're gonna do the same onto the other side. So right arm reaches forward, up and back as you're bending the elbow. And then to the mat. 2 more times like this, bending the arm as you're reaching it back. And then forward. 1 more. And then forward. Now, next 3 times, arm stays extended all the way to the back, towards your toes, and then forward. And again. And to the mat. 1 last time. And to the mat. Beautiful job. Now let's bring the hands on our shoulders and take a few rolls like this. Reverse direction. Very nice. Well done. Release, give a shake to your arms. Now, we're gonna bring the forearms together. Elbows are touching and the side of the hands are touching too. We're gonna lift the elbows in line with our shoulders, okay? We're gonna keep them there and lifted. And then we're gonna keep the elbows together, we separate the wrists. And then we bring them back together. And again, we keep the elbows lifted. If you notice them dropping down, take a moment to bring them up again and then separate the wrist. Bring them back. We're activating our external rotators here. 1 last time, we open, keeping the elbows together. And then we bring them back. Sorry, beautiful, release. Now, one more thing. We're gonna, as a preparation, as a little warm up before we get into the juicy stuff. Today's gonna be a slow flow, but full of hopefully interesting movements and exploration of our upper body. So we're gonna reach the arms forward. We're gonna make fists, and then right arm goes up above the head, so it goes into flexion, and then the left arm goes down and back into extension. So the shoulders are in flexion for the right arm and in extension for the left. And we just simply hold here, arms extended. Breathe. Very nice. And then we're gonna bring them forward and we're gonna reverse. Left arm goes up and the right arm goes down and back. And we're gonna hold them here. And we're gonna review some of these movements in a different way throughout the practice. Well done. And then bring them forward. And once again, give a shake to your arms. Beautiful job. We're gonna come forward into a tabletop position. And we're really gonna get into the movements of the shoulders. So make sure your wrists are underneath the shoulders. The knees are on the mat, underneath the hips. We're finding our tabletop position. And take a moment to really focus on keeping a neutral spine here. So you're not sinking into the lower back, the belly is not dipping down, but instead you're keeping a bit of draw of the ribcage in, a natural S-curve into the lower back. And we're gonna aim to keep this form as we focus just on our shoulders, just on the upper body moving. So from here, we're gonna allow the shoulders to come in towards each other. So we're sinking between them. Arms are staying extended. You're not arching the back. It's just the shoulders coming in towards each other. So this is called retraction of the shoulders. When the two wings are coming in towards each other, towards the middle of your back. We're gonna move in the opposite direction. Arms are still extended. You're pushing the floor away. You're not rounding the whole spine, just the upper back as the shoulder blades are moving away from each other. And then again, you're sinking between the shoulders, so you have these two wings at the back that are coming in towards each other for retraction. And then they're moving out to the opposite sides for protraction. So we're now into retraction, sinking between the shoulders. Make sure the head doesn't collapse all the way. See if you can keep a little bit of engagement into the neck so you're not cheating yourself thinking that you're really going down. Keep the arms extended here. And then push the floor away. Allow the shoulders to come away from each other. You're not rounding the whole spine. Focus just on the upper back. Very nice. One more time like this. Sink in, find retraction of the shoulders. And then protraction as they're coming away from each other. Beautiful job. And then find a neutral, a neutral space. So a middle ground between the two. We're gonna find elevation of the shoulders now. So you're gonna lift the shoulders all the way up towards the ears, towards the neck. The rest of the body doesn't change much, just the shoulders are lifting up. So this is called elevation. And then we're gonna move them all the way down, really exaggerating. Arms still extended. This is called depression of the shoulders. And again, we're lifting them up. So here as well, the wings are lifting up and then they're coming down. So the shoulders, are all the way towards the ears. And then they're moving all the way back down. One more time like this. Lift the shoulders up towards the ears. Elevating. And then depression of the shoulders as you're moving them back down. Away from the neck, away from the ears. Beautiful. Find a place in the middle once again. And if you need a moment to give a shake to the arms, take it now. Because then we're gonna put all these movements together. So we're gonna do a little bit of a shoulder flossing. So we're gonna find a protraction of the shoulders. We're gonna press the floor away, allowing them to come apart. So the upper back is rounding slightly. And then we're gonna keep that protraction, but we're gonna elevate, bringing the shoulders up. And then we're gonna sink. So they're staying elevated, but they're finding that retraction, sinking between, squeezing between each other. And then you're gonna push them down, finding that depression, but you're still squeezing them in. And then from here, you keep that depression, but you're pressing the floor, finding protraction. So once again, shoulders, they're staying moving apart. They're moving up towards the ears, squeezing in towards each other, still up towards the neck, towards the ears, and then moving down and away, but still squeezing in towards each other. And then rounding the upper back, finding that protraction, shoulders away. Very nice. Now, you can keep it this slow. So especially if you're struggling to really find that awareness, that's okay, especially if it's one of the first time you're doing this. Keep it slow. Otherwise, you can find a little bit more fluidity as you're moving, and we really find a little bit more of a dynamic flossing here. Let's do one more round. Take your time. And then we're gonna reverse. Very nice. One more round wherever you are. And then we find a nice neutral place. Beautiful job. From here, we're gonna move into puppy pose. We've seen both variation plenty in other classes. So we're gonna take a big step forward with both of our hands. We're not taking a passive puppy pose straight away. There's gonna be time for that. We're gonna stay active. So your head is still lifted, your chest is not going down to the mat. I want you to press the mat away through your hands, keeping the arms extended. Okay, so the shoulders, what we want is a bit of protraction. So you're bringing the wings away. And a little bit of an elevation as the arms are going above the head. Naturally, the shoulder will elevate. So this is what we want here. So before you bring the head down, before you lower the chest, find that push through the hands. Allow the shoulders to lift, but allow the upper back to stay broad. So that's why we want that protraction. And this is kind of what we want in our downward dog as well. So this, imagine it being almost like a supported downward facing dog. Now the head can lower down, not all the way to the mat. You're not collapsing the chest, you're not arching the spine, but instead keep more engagement here. Very nice. Become aware of any physical sensations, where you're feeling any strength, any effort that you're adding here, any stretch. And then lift up a little bit. Keep the left hand where it is, right hand on top. And I want you still to push the floor away. Bring the head between your arms and then send that right side of the body a little bit more towards the right. It's not a big movement. Beautiful job. Come back up, come back through center. Same thing onto the other side, left hand on top of the right. You're pushing the floor away, head between your arms, try not to let it collapse. And then left side can move a little bit more towards the left. Breathe. And then lift back up. Open the hands wide. And this time, allow yourself to sink down into more of a passive puppy pose. So the forehead can come all the way down onto the floor if there's the space. You can also bring the chin onto the mat, allowing the chest to really come down towards the floor. And now I'm going to ask you again to really notice how, what you experiencing here, the physical sensations, where you're feeling the stretch. Just for awareness sake, to understand the difference between these poses can have on our body, the difference between active and more passive, where we have a little bit more leverage. Beautiful. A couple more breaths here. And then keep the hands where they are. Start to lift yourself up slowly and roll yourself all the way to the front, releasing the thighs, the hips, the belly, and the chest. Now, make sure you have a little bit of space either side. We're going to come into our scorpion stretches, but for fun, we're going to keep it a little bit more active. So left arm goes out, you're gonna keep it into a cactus shape. So the elbow is a little bit higher than shoulder height. We're gonna keep this shape. I always stress it because I know how easy it is as we roll to the left to extend that left arm. We don't want that, we want to keep that elbow bent. With your right hand, press on the mat and start to roll, opening the torso towards the right side, opening your whole body towards the right side. Now, the head is close to the ground. Maybe the right leg is on top of the left, maybe it's a little bit more in front, maybe the foot reaches towards the floor behind you. Instead of just staying here, I want you to press the hand, the forearm, the elbow onto the ground. So notice the difference of sensation that happened as soon as you start pressing down. So you're not only stretching, you're in an active range. You're also strengthening here. Take a few deep breaths. Keep pressing down. And then with control, you're releasing, coming all the way back onto your belly. Well done. We're going to do the same thing onto the other side. So left arm out into a cactus shape, elbow a little bit higher than the shoulder. We're pressing the floor with the left hand. We're rolling so the torso, the whole body opens towards the left. Now, find the right place for your left leg. Maybe it's on top, maybe it's in front, maybe it's on the back. On the back will be more challenging, so remember it's just an option. If it doesn't work, then bring it forward. The head is down towards the mat. If it doesn't touch, it's okay, but you're not staying lifted here. And once you found your position, I want you to feel how it is right now. And then start to press the hand, forearm, and elbow on the ground. Notice any difference that might happen here. And we take a few breaths. Very nice. With control, start to come all the way back on your belly. Beautiful. Now, bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And before we start all of these transitions in from Cobra, I want you to have your block right in front of you. Now, hands underneath the shoulders, we're gonna come up into a baby cobra. That means just the chest lifts off the ground, the belly still on the mat. Your elbows are bent, like they always are in cobra position, and they're tucking in towards your rib cage. Lengthen the back of the neck, chin slightly in towards the chest. Now, press onto your right hand, lift the left, lift a little bit higher, and then come all the way back down. Press onto the left, lift the right, lift a little bit higher, and then come back down. One more time each side. Obviously, how much you lift will be different from how much I lift or anyone else, depending on your mobility here. We're just at the beginning exploring these different movements and space, so it's okay if there's not much more lift from where you are. So one more time, lifting up and lifting up. Very nice. Now, we're gonna do something that picks up from the very beginning of our practice. So from here, we're gonna press onto our right hand and we're gonna lift ourselves up, but the left arm is gonna reach forward and then open into that cactus shape. Remember at the very beginning in our kneeling position, same thing. So from here, press onto the right hand, lift up, and then open that left arm, come back down. Left hand pushes down, right hand reaches forward and back into the cactus shape, and then come back down. Once again, each side. and then come back down. Right arm, and come back down. Beautiful. A little bit more challenging than when we were just kneeling on the floor. Now, like we did at the beginning, we're gonna do the same, but with the arm extended. So push the floor with your right hand, reach the left arm forward, and then all the way back, and then back on the mat. Same thing onto the other side. Left hand pushes, right arm circles, and back. Beautiful. One more time each side. Circle, and move back. And then right, circle, and then move back. Beautiful job. At this point, we're gonna grab hold of our block in front of us. So extend the arms completely, allow the shoulders to lift up naturally towards the ears. We're gonna lift the legs off the floor, and then when you're ready, lift the arms as well. Beautiful. Keep hold of the block in your right hand. Left hand taps the side of your left leg. Come forward. Right hand towards the right thigh. Come forward. 2 more times each side. Tap left. Really feeling it in our posterior chain, which we'll explore more into one of the next classes. Right to the right. Come forward. Hold. And then release. Beautiful. Have a sway of the hip side to side if it feels right and good. Well done. We're going to do something similar, but we're going to add a little bit more of a challenge. So this time, we're going to lift the shins off the floor. And then we're going to lift the arms up. Now, keep hold of the block into your left hand and move it towards the leg. Tap. Then bring it forward. Right arm goes back. Tap with the block and forward. 2 more times each side. Stay with your breath. And then right to the right. 1 more time each side. Left to the left. Right to the right with the block. Back through center. Lift up. And then release. Well done. Have a wiggle of the hips. Take a moment. So what we're doing here, we're using our shoulders and we're using the block to add a little bit more weight, a little bit more challenge. But we're also at the same time really using our posterior chain and really strengthening the back body, which is very important for back bends. And once again, in one of the next few classes, we're gonna focus specifically on that. So this is just a taste. Now, one more time, we're gonna use the block, but we're just gonna hold it this time. So we're gonna prepare the same. We're gonna lift the shins and we're gonna reach straight away, both arms back, holding the block behind us this time. And then lift the chest, reach the block towards the feet, hold and breathe. The shoulders here are in extension. Very nice, 1 more breath. And then release forward, move the block away into one side. Bring the hands underneath your forehead. Have a sway of the hips side to side if it feels nice. If it feels you need that release. Well done. Now, bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Push the floor away, hips towards the heels, and all the way up towards the sky. Downward facing dog. Take a few movements here. You can pedal through the legs, bending one knee after the other in towards the chest. Very nice. Now, I'm gonna ask you to add a little adjustment here in your downward dog. So perhaps your hands are already in that position. But normally, as we're coming into downward dog, we have index and middle finger more or less pointing forward. Hands are shoulder distance. What I'm gonna ask you is to bring a little bit more external rotation into the arms. So bring the fingers to point a bit more outwards and a little bit wider. So from here, you can come down to set yourself. You're gonna move them a little bit wider and a little bit more outwards, and then come back into your downward dog. And notice how it feels into the shoulders. And if this really does not work for you, feel free to come back to that same position as before. Very nice. From your downward dog, we're gonna roll all the way forward into plank. And we're gonna hold here. Now, we don't want to squeeze the shoulder blades in, or we want to find a little bit more protraction, separating them. And then send the hips up high, downward facing dog. Very nice. One more time. Roll forward, create space between the shoulders, remember? And if you need to bring more awareness, you can really exaggerate that sink in, and then push the floor away, push the shoulder blades apart. And then lift all the way back up high. Very nice. We're gonna do it one more time. So when you're ready, roll forward, find your plank. And then lift that right leg, parallel to the floor. We're not coming into a back bend. Keep pushing the floor away. Bring it back down. Same thing onto the left. Left leg lifts, parallel to the floor. No higher. Keep pushing the shoulder blades away. Do not sink between them. And then bring the foot down. Lift the hips high. Downward facing dog. Very nice. If this position with your hands works, then you can stay and keep that. Otherwise, you can readjust the hands. With the next inhale, the right leg reaches high to the sky. Exhale, bring the knee towards the nose and step the foot forward. Bring it between your hands. Reach the arms up towards the sky, arrive into a high lunge. We're gonna pick up once again one of the very first moves we did at the beginning of the practice. So we're gonna reach the arms forward, we're gonna make fists, and then we're gonna reach the right arm down, left arm up. The right arm reaches all the way back. We're gonna keep fists, and then we're gonna bring the hands towards the middle of the back. See if you can not touch the back. So especially with your right fist, as you're moving at the back, see if you can keep it hovering. Even if it's far away from the left, that's okay for now. And then re-extend, bring them forward, and switch, same thing. Reach that left arm back first, then bring them towards each other, keep them hovering away from the back. And then extend. Once again. Right arm reaches back first, then you're bringing them towards each other, try not to touch. And then extend, switch, bring them towards each other, hover, and then extend. One last time, right arm reaches back, then you're bringing them towards each other, this time touch, hold here, hold the fists. So we're experiencing different way of being active here. So we're still active in the sense that we're not clasping the hands yet. So we're not using that to pull our arms together to find more stretch, especially into the upper arm. But we're using the support of our back to be here. So notice how this feels compared to just hovering over the back. And then, if it's available, grab hold of opposite fingers. If you wish to feel this passive sensation, but you can clasp the fingers together, then you can hold a strap with your top hand and then grab it with the bottom one. So breathe here. Very nice. And then release gently the arms, bring them down, interlace the hands at the back. So here, the arms are in extension, interlace the fingers, and instead of squeezing them towards each other, I want you to keep the hands as they are, but I want you to move them apart. Like you want to break them apart, but you don't. So keep pushing Both hands to opposite sides. Very nice, keeping it a little bit more active. And then bring the palms closer together. Find that little bit more passive hold. Bring the back heel down onto the mat into a warrior one. Lift the chest up. And then come forward into a humble warrior. Reaching the arms all the way above the head. Even if they're not there physically, they're moving towards the front of the mat. They're moving in that direction. Very nice. Release. Release the hands. Bring them onto the mat. Step back into downward facing dog. And then roll forward into plank and with control down on the mat. Reach the arms back, lift the chest, lift the legs, locust. And then hands underneath the shoulders, push the floor away, downward facing dog. With your next inhale, left leg reaches high. Exhale, bring the knee in, step the foot forward. Reach the arms up, high lunge. And then we do it all over again. So from here, we're gonna reach the arms forward, make fists. Now, right arm goes up, left arm goes down and back. And we're gonna bring the fist towards each other without touching the back. Over here. And then lift and switch. Right arm reaches back first. Then we're bringing them towards each other, hovering. And then extend. Once again. Left arm reaches back. Bring them towards each other. Lift up. And switch. Bringing them towards each other. One last time. Switch. Right arm up. Left arm back. And then bring them towards each other. And then allow them to touch the back. Notice the difference. How it feels now. Having the support of the back, but still keeping it in some ways active, especially for that top arm. And then grab hold of opposite fingers, or grab hold, take a moment to grab hold of a strap between your hands. Full breaths here. Notice the different physical sensations, but notice also how perhaps different thoughts are traveling through the mind when something is a little bit more challenging, when something is perhaps a little bit more accessible. And then release the hands, bring them down, interlace them behind your back, and then pull them apart, away from your lower back and apart from each other. Like you want to break them, but you don't. Very nice. And then squeeze the palms in towards each other. Allow them to be a little bit softer. Bring the back heel down in that 45-degree line. Lift the chest and then come forward. Humble warrior. Arms are reaching above the head. Full breaths here. Very well done. Release, lift yourself up, hands on the ground, step back into your downward facing dog, and then roll forward into plank, down onto the mat. Reach the arms back, locust pose, and then hands underneath the shoulders, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Take a big breath in, a full breath out. And maybe you take a moment, maybe you stay in your downward dog, maybe you take a moment to sit down, to sip some water, to just reconnect with your breath. You're doing good. It's a slow flow, but we're working our shoulders and we're really exploring the different movements, which, I don't know, to me is just the most wonderful thing. So feel your inhale, your exhale, wherever you are. You're doing so good. You've embarked in this new journey. And that is just magical, and I'm always so grateful for you to be here. So when you're ready, if you were not ready, come back into your downward facing dog. With your next inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, knee in, step the foot forward, bring the back foot parallel to the short side of the mat, open your arms wide, warrior two. So front knee bend, a bit of external rotation into that thigh. Now, right arm comes underneath the left. You can always hug opposite shoulders instead, or you can bring the arms together or maybe the palms together. Wherever you are, I want you to bring the elbows in line with the shoulders, like we were doing at the beginning this movement, engaging our external rotators. And then keep the elbows where they are and start to lean the forearms towards the left. And then bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. A gentle neck stretch, top of the shoulder stretch. We're coming back through center. Now, when we have our arms into eagle pose, what we want to happen in our shoulders is a little bit more of protraction. So we're rounding a little bit our upper back as we're bringing the shoulders in line with the elbows in line with the shoulders and then away from the chest. That's the engagement and the motion that we want in our shoulders at the back. Very nice. Then release, open the arms wide. Find an internal rotation of the left arm. That means that if your palm is facing down, I want you to face it at the back, finding that internal rotation, and then bring the arm behind the back and the hand towards the front thigh. Right arm stays where it is. Flip the front palm up, reach forward, and then reverse your warrior, keep the front knee bent. So you're in a half bind with your left arm. Very nice. Release everything, come forward, frame that front foot, and step back into downward facing dog. Roll yourself forward, come all the way down on the mat. Hands are staying underneath the shoulders, cobra pose. So, baby cobra, just the chest, a little bit higher if that's available to you. Elbows remain bent. And this is not a beginner pose. Here we are really strengthening our back chain, our back body. So bring it down and move back, downward dog. Last time on the left. Inhale, left leg reaches high. Exhale, bring the knee in, step the foot forward. Bring the back foot down, open the arms wide. Stay as you are. I'm just gonna turn. Very nice. This time, left arm underneath the right. Find your option, grabbing hold of opposite shoulders, arms together or palms together. Wherever you are, elbows in line with the shoulders and then away from the chest. So find that protraction of your shoulders. They're moving away from each other. You're finding a little bit of roundiness into the upper back. Now, keep the elbows where they are. Move the forearms to one side, to the right side gently. And then left ear towards left shoulder. Big breaths here. Don't drop the elbows, keep them high, keep them away from the chest. And then come back through center and release, open the arms wide. We want to find internal rotation of that right arm. So the palm from facing down faces back. And then you're bringing the arm behind the back, hand towards the right shoulder, the right thigh, apologies. And then right palm faces up, reach forward and reverse. Front knee remains bent. Full breaths here. Well done. Release everything, cartwheel the arms forward, frame that front foot, step back into downward facing dog. And then roll yourself forward, plank to the floor. Inhale for cobra. I want you to feel it strong here. Pressing the hands down, elbows tucking in, chest opening to the front. And then release, downward facing dog. Well done. Big breath in. Full breath out. Roll yourself forward, plank position once again. Bring the knees down, thighs, hips, belly, chest. Bring the elbows underneath the shoulders for Sphinx pose. And now we're gonna go, you know where we're gonna go from here. We're gonna take Sphinx to forearm plank to dolphin. But we're gonna explore 3 different ways to keep your arms, and we're gonna see how it affects the shoulders as well. So, first round, we're gonna keep the arms as they are. Elbows in line with the shoulders or slightly forward. The hands, the forearms, the hands are staying shoulder distance as well. And from here, we're gonna tuck the toes, lift up forearm plank, and then walk the toes forward. Don't move the elbows apart, further apart than they are. They remain shoulder distance. As we're moving into dolphin, we keep sending the chest back. We keep pressing the forearms on the ground. Very nice. Keep pushing the forearms on the floor. Allow the shoulders to come up as they naturally do. Arms are still overhead. And then walk the toes back. Forearm plank. And then down with control into Sphinx. Beautiful. Flip the palms up. Lift the forearms off the floor. Just the elbows are on the ground. Keep the elbows where they are. Move the hands out. And then bring them back in. Move the hands out. Bring them back in. 2 more times. And in. Very similar to what we did at the beginning of the practice, using our external rotators here. Bring the forearms down, but keep the palms facing up this time. And then tuck the toes, come up into your forearm plank. And then start to walk the toes forward, coming into your dolphin pose. Can you lift the forearms off the floor? Maybe bringing the hands towards your upper back. Just the elbows are staying on the floor. Notice how this feels. If this is not possible, forearms can stay on the ground. Very nice. Bring the forearms down if they weren't already. Walk the toes back, forearm plank, and then down with control. How was it? How was the difference between the first and the second variation? I invite you to take a moment to reflect, to notice how it felt for you in your body. Now, this is my personal favorite for when we go into dolphin, and also from dolphin into our inversion, our pincha. It's what feels better for my shoulders. And it's keeping the elbows shoulder distance. So you're keeping them where they are, but you're bringing the hands together into a prayer position. You can also have the hands on the floor with the index and thumb touching. So you're making more of a triangle shape with your arms here. This helps your shoulder find a little bit more of external rotation, at least for me, in more of a natural way than when my hands are actually shoulder distance. So we're gonna try this as well. From here, elbows remain in that same distance. We're gonna tuck the toes, we're gonna lift up forearm plank, and then walk the toes forward. Keep pressing the forearms on the ground. Move the chest back. Find your dolphin. Notice how it feels. This is also one of the greatest poses to add strength and space into shoulders and space into the chest. Start to walk the toes back, find your forearm plank, and then all the way back down, Sphinx pose. Well done. Which one was your favorite? Now, release, come into a seated position, scooch the legs forward and yourself towards the front of the mat. We're at the end of our practice now. So we're gonna look at one more pose. 3 different variations in this pose as well. We're gonna be laying on our backs. We're gonna take a couple of twists and then our Shavasana. So from here, make yourself laying down. Bring yourself to lay down on your back. Soles of the feet on the floor. Of course, this pose is bridge. So heels are gonna be in line with your knees. So there's no need to bring them attached to the bum. Just keep them underneath the knees. Feet can be hip distance, they can be a little bit wider, toes can be a little bit more pointing towards the outside. Not excessively, just a little bit more, finding your space, finding what works for you. And we're gonna start with the palms on the ground. I want you to imprint the spine down and then start to lift the hips, the pelvis, the thighs, up towards the sky bridge pose. Now, your full arms are down on the ground. They can support you, give you a little bit more push. And then we're gonna remove that and we're gonna reach the arms all the way above the head on the floor behind you. So this is more of an active bridge pose where there's no support of your arms to push up. Very nice. Slowly bring it down, vertebra by vertebra, all the way on the floor. So in this position, it was more active, not so much for the shoulders though, but more for your glutes, for your hamstring lifting up. This next one, we're gonna imprint and lift the hips up. This time we're gonna come a little bit higher onto our shoulders as we're squeezing them in towards each other and coming on top of them. We're going to interlace the hands together and we're gonna press them down on the floor. Hello, you. Hi, baby. Keep breathing here. Thank you. And then with control, release the hands and come away from the shoulders and roll all the way down. Thank you for all these baccinis. Now, we're gonna try one last variation. Thank you very much. We're gonna bring the upper arms on the mat, but we're gonna keep the forearms and the hands pointing up towards the sky. So you have to be in the middle, come on. Now, from here, we're gonna inhale to imprint the spine, and then we're gonna lift up with our exhale, hips towards the sky. I want you to press the upper arms on the mat actively here. Very nice. And then with control, release all the way back down. Beautiful job. Now take a moment here, find a neutral spine, take a few breaths. And then keeping the feet where they are, bringing them a little bit wider, start to move the knees side to side into some gentle twists. You have the option if you want to move into a still twist. So you can bring the knees together and just hold it here. Otherwise, you can keep it dynamic. If you're in a still twist, take a moment to move onto the other side as well. And then when you're ready, come back through center. Bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big hug. Ah, so well done. So well done to you. When you're ready, let go. You can find your Shavasana. You can come into a seated position. Whatever is your choice, I invite you to spend here at least a few minutes, soaking in the practice, allowing the body to rest for a moment. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to move in this journey with you. Namaste.